In the world of coin collecting, there are stories that ignite the imagination and remind us that the smallest objects often carry the greatest surprises. One of those stories revolves around the 1994 United States 5-cent coin error, a coin that at first glance looks like any ordinary nickel but hides within it the power to change lives. Think about it for a moment: a coin worth just 5 cents, something most people wouldn't bother to pick up off the ground, suddenly turning out to be worth between $50,000 and as much as $130,000. That is the astonishing truth about this rare error coin, and it is exactly what makes the 1994 nickel error one of the most talked about treasures in modern American coinage. To fully appreciate this coin's remarkable journey, we need to go back to the year 1994, a time when the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for over half a century. First introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, the Jefferson nickel featured a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse designed by Felix Schlag, with the reverse showcasing his famous Virginia estate, Monticello. By the 1990s, the design had become a staple of American currency, one of the most familiar coins in circulation. Millions upon millions of nickels were produced at the mints in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, most of them unremarkable, destined to be spent, saved, or forgotten. But amid the flood of ordinary nickels, a tiny handful emerged carrying errors that would make them legends. Errors in coinage happen for many reasons. The minting process, though incredibly precise, involves heavy machinery striking thousands of planchets per minute, and every once in a while, mistakes slip through. With the 1994 nickel, some of the most valuable errors involve double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, and in a few cases, rare planchet errors where the coin was struck on the wrong metal. These are the kinds of mistakes that collectors dream of because they transform something common into something irreplaceable. The rarity of such errors ensures that when one surfaces, it commands extraordinary attention and an equally extraordinary price. Imagine the thrill of discovery. Someone sits down with a roll of nickels from the bank, maybe out of curiosity, maybe because they are a coin roll hunter determined to find something rare. Coin after coin slides through their hands, all looking the same, until suddenly one stands out. The lettering appears doubled, or the strike seems slightly off. The date reads 1994. The person leans in closer, magnifying glass in hand, and the realization hits. This isn't just another nickel. This is one of the rare error coins from 1994. In an instant, that simple 5-cent piece transforms into a treasure, a coin that could fetch $50,000, maybe even $130,000 if it is in pristine condition and presented at the right auction. The sheer thrill of that discovery is what makes coin collecting so addictive. And when one of these 1,994 nickels does appear at auction, the atmosphere is electric. Collectors know how rare these coins are, and the bidding wars are nothing short of dramatic. The auctioneer introduces the coin, carefully pointing out its unique error and flawless preservation. The first bids are placed, climbing quickly into the thousands. 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. The excitement builds, the room grows tense, and then the bids cross the extraordinary mark of $50,000. But the competition doesn't stop there. Determined collectors, eager to add such a rarity to their collections, continue pushing the price higher. 80,000, 90,000, 100,000. Finally, the gavel comes down at $130,000, and the room erupts with applause. A coin once worth 5 cents has now become a six-figure prize, a story that will be told and retold among numismatists for years to come. What makes these coins so captivating isn't just the money, though the price tag is enough to take anyone's breath away. It's the idea that something so small, so ordinary, could carry within it such extraordinary value. Every day, nickels pass through millions of hands without a second thought. They pay for coffee, sit in car cup holders, and pile up in jars on dressers. And yet, hidden among them, there could be one of these extraordinary 1994 error nickels. That possibility is what keeps collectors looking, what fuels the passion of the hunt, and what makes stories like this so magical. The imperfections on these coins, the very errors that give them their value, are reminders that sometimes the most extraordinary things come from mistakes. In a mint designed for perfection, these rare accidents slip through, and instead of being discarded, they survive to become treasures. Collectors treasure them not only for their rarity but for the story they tell about human error, chance, and the unpredictability of history. It's as though the coin itself carries a hidden message, reminding us that even in a world of precision, the unexpected can create something truly remarkable. There are countless stories of discovery tied to these nickels. A family might inherit a small collection of coins from a grandparent, thinking of them only as sentimental keepsakes, only to later discover that a 1994 nickel tucked inside is a rare error worth tens of thousands of dollars. Another story might involve a young collector searching through change, not expecting much, but suddenly spotting something unusual that turns out to be one of the rarest coins of the year. These real-life accounts add to the legend, inspiring others to keep searching, to never dismiss the change in their pocket without at least a quick glance. Think about the journey of one of these coins. Struck in 1994, it left the mint carrying its hidden error, unnoticed among the millions of nickels produced. It entered circulation used to buy snacks, pay tolls, or perhaps tucked into a piggy bank. For years, it traveled from one person to another, its secret remaining unnoticed. Then, perhaps decades later, someone finally spotted it, recognized the error, and realized its true worth. In that moment, its destiny changed. It was no longer a simple nickel. It was a prized collectible destined to sell for $50,000, $80,000, maybe even $130,000. That transformation, from the ordinary to the extraordinary, is what makes these coins so endlessly fascinating. The 1994 error nickel is a symbol of possibility. It reminds us that treasures still exist out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to discover them. It proves that fortune can come from the most unexpected places, and that even a coin worth 5 cents can hold within it a story worth telling for generations. For collectors, it represents not just a valuable piece of metal, but a dream, a challenge, and a reason to keep searching. So the next time you come across a nickel, don't dismiss it without a glance. Look closely at the details. Examine the date, study the strike, and pay attention to anything that seems unusual. Because you never know. That small coin sitting in your hand might not be just another nickel. It could be one of the rare 1994 error nickels. A coin worth not 5 cents but between $50,000 and $130,000. And that discovery could change everything. The 2015 United States 5-cent coin error is one of those fascinating stories that reveals just how much mystery and excitement can hide inside the most ordinary pocket change. Most people see a nickel as nothing more than a small piece of money, worth just 5 cents, hardly worth noticing as it jingles with other coins in a pocket or purse. But in the world of coin collecting, that same nickel from 2015 has become the center of attention because of rare minting errors that transformed it into something collectors will pay incredible sums to own. Imagine holding a 5-cent coin that could be worth not just a few cents, not just a few dollars, but anywhere between $35,000 and $109,000. That kind of staggering difference between face value and collector value is the kind of story that makes even the most casual observer stop and take notice. The 2015 nickel continued the long-running design tradition of the Jefferson 5-cent coin. On the obverse is the portrait of President Thomas Jefferson, a design that has been familiar to Americans for decades. On the reverse is the image of Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia home. By 2015, this design was already an accepted part of daily life, carried by millions of Americans without a second thought. But it was within that same year's massive production run that a small number of coins emerged with errors, mistakes during the minting process that made these particular nickels different from all the rest. Those differences, though unintentional, are what turned them into numismatic treasures. Mint errors can happen in many different ways, and the 2015 5-cent coin demonstrates several possibilities. Some examples show off center strikes, where Jefferson's portrait is shifted so far that parts of the coin are blank. Others display doubling, where inscriptions or parts of the design appear duplicated in a way that almost looks like a shadow effect. Then there are wrong planchet errors, where the design of the nickel ended up on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a penny or dime. These wrong planchet coins feel strange in the hand, lighter or smaller than they should be, but to collectors they are priceless curiosities. Each of these errors transforms an ordinary 2015 nickel into a rarity that stands out immediately once identified. What makes these errors so thrilling is not just the way they look but the enormous value they command. Auction records show that 2015 5-cent coin errors have reached astonishing prices. Collectors eager to own a piece of modern minting history have bid aggressively, driving the value of these coins into the tens of thousands. Some examples have sold for $35,000, while others, particularly those in pristine condition with dramatic mistakes, have gone as high as $109,000. These numbers are not speculation, they are real figures achieved in the marketplace, and they demonstrate the power of rarity combined with demand. Think about that for a moment. A coin worth only 5 cents in circulation suddenly becomes a prize worth enough to buy a car, pay off debts, or even make a serious contribution toward buying a house. The leap in value is so extreme that it almost feels like a story from a novel, but it is very real. And it is precisely this possibility of finding life-changing wealth in the smallest corners of daily life that keeps collectors and ordinary people searching through their change with renewed energy. Part of the appeal of the 2015 nickel error is its modernity. Many famous error coins come from decades ago, but the fact that such extraordinary errors happened as recently as 2015 reminds us that mistakes can still slip through the mints processes today. That makes the search even more exciting, because people know these coins could be out there in circulation, waiting to be discovered. Every coin roll, every handful of change from a store, carries the chance of finding something extraordinary. The idea that a coin minted only a few years ago could hold a hidden fortune resonates with people who might otherwise never think twice about coins. For collectors, owning one of these coins isn't just about the money. It's about the thrill of having something rare and unique, something that shouldn't exist but does. The errors themselves tell a story of imperfection in a system designed for precision. Every off-center strike, every doubled inscription, every wrong planchet represents a small failure in the minting process. But those failures are exactly what create the treasures that collectors chase. The 2015 5-cent coin error stands as proof that perfection isn't always what people value most. Sometimes, it is the flaws that make something extraordinary. Auction houses have seen this excitement firsthand. When a 2015 nickel error is listed, the anticipation builds quickly. Collectors understand the rarity, and they are willing to bid aggressively to secure it. The room comes alive with tension as the bids climb higher and higher, the final price often landing in that incredible range of $35,000 to $109,000. The atmosphere is electric because everyone present knows they are witnessing the sale of something far more valuable than its face value would ever suggest. What adds to the story is the accessibility of the coin. These error nickels were never meant to be rare collectibles. They were struck as part of a massive production run, meant to circulate widely. That means many of them passed through hands unnoticed, slipped into change drawers, or sat in jars of coins at home. Even today, it is possible that someone has a 2015 nickel error sitting quietly in their possession without realizing it. That possibility fuels the imagination, because it means discovery could happen anywhere, at any time, to anyone. The 2015 nickel error also carries a symbolic weight. In a world that prizes uniformity and mass production, it is the outliers, the mistakes, that end up valued most highly. This paradox fascinates people because it challenges expectations. What was supposed to be a flaw becomes the very reason for desirability. The 2015 error nickel reminds us that uniqueness often arises from imperfection, and that even something as common as a 5-cent coin can become extraordinary when it deviates from the norm. For anyone hearing this story, the message is clear. Never underestimate the smallest things. That coin you dismiss, the one you hand over without a second thought, might hold secrets that could change everything. Check the details, examine the inscriptions, look closely at the strike. Because while most nickels are worth exactly 5 cents, a rare few from 2015 are worth up to $109,000. That difference is staggering, and the chance of discovery makes the search irresistible. The story of the 2015 United States 5-cent coin error will continue to inspire collectors and dreamers alike. It is a reminder that fortune often hides in plain sight, disguised as something ordinary. For those who take the time to look, for those with patience and curiosity, the reward could be life-changing. And when you think about the potential, from $35,000 on the low end to $109,000 on the high end, it's easy to see why people will never stop searching their change in hopes of finding one of these remarkable treasures.